Hi, this is Alan Shimel, DevOps.com here at IBM InterConnect in Las Vegas. Happy to be joined by actually one of my fellow panelists for the panel I'll be doing on what does DevOps look like in 3 to 5 years. And it's Raghunath
Raman?
Raman from Kaiser Permanente,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Okay. So, Raghunath, before we jump into what our panel is about, why don't you give our listeners a little bit of background on your role at Kaiser and a little bit about the DevOps journey that you guys have undertook?
Absolutely. My role at Kaiser, I've been in Kaiser for about 2.5 years now. Been in the software industry for about over 2 decades. At Kaiser, my role is managing an engineering team where we build and deliver APIs and web services. And they are primarily member facing to enable experiences for members and connecting systems of engagement to systems of record, primarily with kp.org, as well as our mobile flagship apps that
Hmm.
members are using for their digital channels. Um, DevOps, so there's a lot of software engineering where we do CI/CD and try to get functions and features quickly to enable member experiences.
Hmm.
Kaiser has invested pretty much a lot in DevOps to try to solve this multi-speed IT problems of saying, how do we have different speeds of development and how do we still add value to to the members, to workforce, to physicians, hospitals? How do we enable all of that? And there are several initiatives that are underway. And so one of them is investing in a lot of tools and a lot of automation and learning a whole bunch of things in that area.
Yep. So, so much of DevOps, when you listen to the pundits, right? Tools are great, but tools alone is not DevOps, right? It's about
It's a culture.
right, fundamentally changing culture and the ways
Yes, yes,
breaking down the silos. What can you tell us about lessons you've learned at Kaiser with
absolutely,
this?
absolutely. I think, like every other large enterprise, challenges that you see in operations don't always get exposed to the development and engineering teams. So the true nature of saying how you write code and how is it supposed to perform in ops, how do you see that happen in a dev environment so that you are able to see what it's supposed to scale to in the operational world? What are challenges that you don't see? An operational team doesn't understand what happens in the dev world and say, what is the context in which some code is coming in? So bridging those gaps through a CI/CD process and a culture shift saying it's one team that is trying to move features across the pipeline is where DevOps is headed for us.
Got it. Makes sense. So, Raghunath, when we think about DevOps, we think about startups, we think about unicorns. But the fact of the matter is, as we've learned here at InterConnect and at shows like Gene Kim's DevOps Enterprise Summit, we are seeing sort of more conservative
Hmm.
financial institutions,
Hmm.
financial companies, healthcare, like
Hmm.
Kaiser
Absolutely.
Permanente, really taking a leading role in pushing the envelope.
Yes.
What do you attribute that to?
Oh, it's very clear. I think I would put it as four factors or four things that are fundamentally driving that. There's a change in the healthcare space just with regulations and regulatory framework. ACAA made some changes to say certain things need to happen, electronic health records, and so on and so forth. That also opened up the marketplace. There's a huge demand from a consumer demand where they want choice of plan, choice of care, choice of prescription, choice of financial empowerment, choice of how I want to do that, which means a consumer is now in charge of their healthcare needs. So there's a regulatory framework, there's a consumer framework, then you have digital disruption. You have in the last few years a whole host of single page apps, technologies, frameworks that has come. The convergence of this is making it incumbent on everybody in the healthcare space to say, I need to deliver value to the end consumer. If I
Yeah,
don't deliver, you become irrelevant at some point.
yeah.
And so all these, it's a combination of technology, consumer, and frameworks that's saying you better react to that and adopt things that will help you deliver value. So that's the prime reason we are saying, hey, you have to do something
Yeah.
to keep up with the times. And also there is a pent up demand for what a consumer wants. So the mobile example, it's no longer acceptable to say that you need to walk into a facility to fill in your prescription.
Right.
It's why can't I do it on my cell phone? Why do I have to do that?
Yeah,
Because so the consumer behavior, the digital disruption that is happening is forcing a lot of behavioral changes where you need to adapt and say we need to move there.
I
So
mean it's
DevOps
very
is
much adopt or die,
yes,
adapt
yeah,
or die.
exactly. And so all these digital disruptions is forcing us to say, well, you need to have this multi-speed IT where you're able to do something on the digital frontier as well as accommodate what is happening on the back end. How do you bridge that gap?
Understood.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, Raghunath, we're about to start our panel on the what is the future of DevOps. Just quickly, because we're almost out of time. One sentence, or just one thought. What do you think is the biggest innovation change,
Yep.
or things people should look for in DevOps for the next 3 to 5 years?
In next 3 to 5 years, things that we think today are automation will become commonplace. At some point in time, SVN was a buzzword.
Hmm.
DevOps CI/CD is now going to be a common thing and say, oh, you don't do CI/CD? What do you mean? So how do you actually build and deploy is going to be the thing. I think where the shift and focus will all happen in standardization of automation tools,
Hmm.
standardizing of performance networks, standardizing of security testing, which all needs to adapt to this fast moving build and deploy world. A lot of that is going to
Absolutely.
happen.
Okay. Raghunath Randan
Raman,
Raman. How can I mess that up? Thank you very much for joining us today. This is Alan Shimel of DevOps.com. Thank you for listening.